Putin loves Brexit, says that the European Union was formed and controlled by the world's ruling class of reptilians. What did I just say? I said. Putin loves Brexit and says that the European Union was formed and controlled by the world's ruling class of reptilians. Putin said that he was not one of them, but they are afraid of him and have attempted to lure him into their ancient Babylonian cult. Did Putin just out the world's political and financial elite as cold-blooded hybrid human reptilians? Did he really just go there? Shockwaves are reverberating around the Kremlin today as word spreads regarding an extraordinary meeting called by Vladimir Putin yesterday where, according to sources, the Russian president said that 95% of the world's ruling class are not even human, but are cold-blooded hybrids who are members of an ancient cult. Did Putin just out the world's political and financial elite as cold-blooded hybrid human reptilians? Did he really just go there? Speaking at a behind-closed-doors forum for the highest echelons of government and staff in his home city of St. Petersburg, Putin responded to questions about Brexit and who was behind the plot to try and stop it: the US government, their spy agencies, and George Soros's group. Putin slammed his fist on the table and exclaimed, "George Soros, you sly dragon, this is war," according to sources close to the president. Putin then vowed to ramp up sanctions against Soros's open society even further. When questioned by a top aide as to what he meant by dragon, an unusual word in Russian, Putin sighed heavily and fixed the assembled group with his trademark stare before explaining that all is not what it seems in regards to how the world is run. Resisting gentle attempts by close aides to stop the president going there, Putin said that the evidence was everywhere, and that he personally had intimate knowledge of their dealings. He said that he was not one of them, but they are afraid of him and have attempted to lure him into their ancient Babylonian cult. The evidence, ancient and modern, is enormous, he said. Putin said that mankind has been manipulated to become unconscious through the use of programming by media and politics, the perfect example of which was the recent Panama Papers leak. The world's ruling class have tyrannical control over our food, water, and air supply, and they are actively dumbing down the masses with aluminum, barium and strontium in chemtrails, fluoride in the water and geophosphates in your food. Putin's top cabinet advisors has this to say regarding Brexit. On Friday, in the aftermath of Brexit, the Dow fell over 600 points. What's interesting about Friday's date? It was 7 years, 7 months, 7 weeks, and 7 days since September 29, 2008. Magic number 7. The dollar vigilante, and what a day Friday, June 24 was. The Japan Nikkei fell more than 7% and was closed. The London FTSE exchange lost £100 billion in value and fell as much as 8.7%, and the Dow fell 600 points. And the British pound fell 10% to a 31-year low. This is exactly the type of super Shemitah/Jubilee volatility we've warned about: clinical, catastrophic, methodical. While we were unsure if Brexit would succeed or not, we told subscribers to stick with their positions that were long in gold, gold stocks, Bitcoin, and short the US stock market. It turned out to be another fantastic call, as gold soared nearly $100 on Friday, as did Bitcoin. Our gold stock positions also skyrocketed. Brexit part of the Jubilee plan? Having had a day to think about all that has transpired, it appears to us that Brexit could actually be part of the Jubilee year plan for maximum chaos. We were surprised to see Brexit win. After all, any past vote of this type has been stymied either through propaganda, vote rigging, or other manipulations. But, in retrospect, this makes perfect sense. First, David Cameron was elected upon his promise to hold a Brexit vote in 2017. He changed that, shocking many, to June 23 of this year, just a day before the 7th year, 7th month, 7th week, and 7th day after the last major financial crisis. Why would he do such a thing? Take such a risk? He could have waited another 1 to 2 years to take that risk. Lost in the headlines was that on Friday, Bank of England Governor, Mark Carney, committed to printing up £250 billion, $345.93 billion USD, to support financial markets. No one has mentioned that or even seems to know about it. So, within hours, the banks in the UK appear to have received a massive 2008-style bailout, but without anyone noticing. And, who profited? People like George Soros, who moved into gold as his biggest position and shorted the markets just in the last few weeks. It is safe to say that this was planned. And it appears the demolition of the EU is part of the plan to create massive chaos in order to bring in a new world order. Also, note that David Cameron has resigned but won't actually step down until October, which is just after the end of the Jubilee year. Also note that the Brexit vote isn't actually legally binding and has to be ratified by Parliament, which will not happen until at least October. Within hours of the Brexit vote, as I said would happen, massive movements to leave the EU have erupted in France, Sweden, Denmark, Holland, and Italy. And, just prior to Brexit, Switzerland withdrew its long-standing application to join the EU. Soon we will likely see, aside from Brexit, a Grexit, Departicle, Italy, Frukoff, Checkout, Austria, Finnish, Slovakout, Latvia and Belgium amongst others. This, if allowed to happen, will entail crisis after crisis. Expect to see it by October of this year. But freedom. On the bright side, people are waking up. Brexit showed this. Many are realizing that being ruled by technocrats whose names you don't even know in far-off places is miserable. The elites are aware of this awakening and they don't quite know how to stop it. As John Kerry said, this little thing called the Internet is making it hard to govern. Govern is a synonym for control. And so, we hope, more and more people will wake up and not only want to Brexit but also want to get rid of the UK government as well, and the US federal government, and eventually all governments, and the central banks. This is what is happening. The Illuminati elites know this, so they have decided not to fight that rising tide. They're going to allow it to happen but create so much chaos in the process that almost everyone will be impoverished and will beg for a new, global ruler. This is what is going on and there is no way to know how it will turn out. In the meantime, Russian government's investments in precious metals and Bitcoin will continue to prosper. Putin will help us fight the New World Order and the Illuminati and the report alien race that controls everything.